Hello there, listeners. Just a quick editor's note before the review starts. I'm still trying things out with the audio to give you all the best listening experience that I can personally give you. So, if you have any comments, such as too low or staticky, please let me know in the comments of the Podbean app or on Twitter at FilmJot or Instagram at film_jot. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Now back to the regular shindig. Hey there, listeners, and welcome to FilmJot Reviews The Lion King 2019, an almost shot-for-shot CGI remake of the 1994 animated film of the same name. And just to clear the air on how to address this film, it is a remake only and not a live-action rendition. Although this film is photorealistic, there is nothing real about it. Everything was rendered on a computer, so it's just a more expensive animated film. Anyways, if by some chance you made it through all of school without reading or learning the story of Hamlet, or you were living under a rock for the last 25 years, that you managed to not watch the original Lion King, here's a bad, quick rundown. Young lion cub Simba falls for his vengeful uncle's plan, which leads to his father's/King Mufasa's demise. Out of fear, Simba runs away, leaving his uncle Scar to take over the kingdom, until Simba can learn to take a part of his destiny and take back his rightful throne. Okay, I know I've said this in other reviews, but this is truly one of the harder movies to review because of how familiar it is to the original 94 film, which I enjoyed, of course. So how can I come on and review saying, oh, the plot is trash and character arcs are non-existent? No, I can't really say any of that because 80% of the original film is in this remake. With the exception that they managed to add about 30 minutes of runtime and yet still find a way to nerf the characters of Rafiki and the three main hyenas, which are a big personal loss for me. So this review is going to have to be more technical and performance-based. They gave Zazu a bit more of a presence and humor in this movie, which was paired well with comedian John Oliver, and became quite possibly the only character that was elevated from the original, with the only downfall being that the photorealism of the bird made it hard to be expressive, so not all of the voiceover work was synchronized well. Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen were perfect for Timon and Pumbaa, bringing the characters to life in a way that was very familiar while also adding some of their chemistry and humor to the mix and just owning the adaptation. They come in about halfway through the movie and truly spark some life into the second half. Although Rogen is not much of a vocalist, I think it works out in grounding the character and setting himself apart from the rest of the cast. This movie comes with an all-star cast of performers for the leads. However, screen actors don't always equate to great voice acting. Donald Glover, also known for his musical talent as Childish Gambino, is fantastic in things such as Community and Solo or Atlanta. but seemed like he was playing it safe and downplaying most his lines, but still giving a strong musical performance. Almost the same can be said for Beyonce as Nala. She comes in and nails any song or lyric you throw at her, but the script, or maybe just the direction, didn't lend itself to a notable performance. She comes in and says what's on a page without breathing any real life into the character. Even more disappointing are the brothers Scar and Mufasa. Scar, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who, from everything I've seen of him, has never given a bad performance. From American Gangster, 12 Years a Slave, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and even Doctor Strange, Ejiofor has always delivered no matter how big or small the part. And although he has a great villainous voice, the delivery just wasn't there. And I think in part it has to do with him not being able to perform the part himself and instead just did and read his lines. Last but not least, Mufasa, the only character who had the actor reprise a role in this movie, James Earl Jones. Of course, going into this film, I thought he would be the shoo-in of being perfect playing a character he's done before. The familiarity of his voice to the role was nice, such as Jim Cummings reprising Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin. However, it's been 25 years and I think age did eventually catch up to him. The voice is still his, but the life and energy that he brought to the part of Mufasa back in 1994 just wasn't there today in 2019. And I know recasting such a man and a role would have been difficult and met with backlash from the fan base no matter what, but listening to essentially a lesser version to a beloved character was just distasteful. I know so far I've compared everything to the 94 classic, but even this film on its own, I stand by everything I've said about the performances. How they just don't breathe much life into the roles, which is a big part of voice acting and why some actors aren't always suited to take on parts like this. Because voice acting is in fact a separate art that takes time and practice to get right, and should be acknowledged more in the entertainment industry. Now, I do want to touch on the visual aspect of this film. It was made with that Disney money, so of course the effects of this movie is absolutely gorgeous. From beginning to end, just amazing seeing how far effects and animation have come. All the scenery and backgrounds are almost hard to believe that they aren't real. Even the animals are amazing, with the only issue being that uncanny valley effect it has, where it looks so good and real, but your mind can still tell that there's something just a bit off about it all, especially once they start speaking or singing. But still, you can't knock a single frame of this movie because it is stunning. However, because of the photorealism and the accuracy they kept to the animals, it limits how much expression can be given off, which in turn hurts the performances as a whole. Plus, limiting the musical numbers to the limitations of the animals basically kills some of the energy behind certain songs, to the point where I think I'd much rather see what this film could have been if they just ditched all the music and gave us full character and story. I know people would have been upset, but it's a bold move that might have worked better considering the limitations they placed on themselves trying to keep the movie realistic. Overall, despite what I may have led you to believe so far, it isn't bad. Whether comparing it to the original or on its own, it's a fine film with amazing visuals. It feels a tad long, but still enjoyable and a good family film. Maybe not for the real little ones though. The photorealism plus 2 hour runtime makes it a bit difficult for a younger audience. Trust me, I sat between two kids, about 7 or so, and they recognized the music, but just couldn't watch most of the darn film without squirming around or talking. But I do think the movie is watchable. If you're a big original Lion King's fan, then maybe you'll take issue with it because it's hard to disconnect your brain from a movie you grew up with. But if you hardly watched the original or even never seen it, then I do believe you'll think it's fine or maybe even really enjoy it. Maybe I'm just a stickler for voice work. I don't know. Anyways, there we have it. The Lion King 2019. It's kind of weird that I have to date some of these movies just so people know which one I'm talking about now. Make sure to let me know what you thought of the film over on Twitter at FilmJot or Instagram at film_jot. And shout out to my friend Kit Kat, who is hopefully having a blast at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, and to my bud, Mr. Rum, who is turning another year older while still being mentally capped at age 16. Thanks again to anyone for listening, and until next time, this is FilmJot. Stay friendly, you guys.